Hello once again, and welcome back to another episode of Movie Deputy Reviews, where we are interrogating an entire series of movies this week. So if you are wanting to come along on this crazy ride, I hope that you will stick around because we are going to be back every day this week with a movie in this series, and we are going to be finishing up on Saturday with the newest movie that just came out. Now, I don't know how well you follow a series of where there's 6 movies, but this one has definitely garnered attention maybe for all the right reasons, all the wrong reasons, depending on how you look at it, because the blood and gore level of these just is next level. The whole idea that we cannot cheat death and that the whole thing of free will and just kind of all of that really gets entangled in these. And as you know, or if you've been listening to me for very long at all, you know, blood and gore does not bother me one bit, even if it's my own, hence referencing my recent injury. But if you haven't figured out yet, we are talking about Final Destination. Now, for those of you who remember when this first came out, I think we were just into the new millennium. People were thinking, okay, when it was going from 1999 to 2000, okay, for those of you too young to remember this, I mean, there were literally computers at Best Buy that said Y2K compliant because there was this big fear that when the electronic calendars switched from 1999 to 2000, that everything was going to be lost. And so the world was kind of in chaos. And so when the first of the Final Destination movies came out in 2000, it was like, wake up. It was so in your face in a way that movies really hadn't done before. Now, mind you, there's been similar type stories, similar to this, but none that take it to this level. You may be wondering what exactly I'm referencing with that. And don't worry, we're going to get into that. We are. You're probably wondering what I gave this very first Final Destination movie. And don't worry, I'm going to get to that as well. But it is going to be very obvious that all 6 of these movies... Sorry about that, but Taro just jumped up on my desk. So, and again, if you've been listening to me for very long, you know I am a cat mom to 7 crazy creatures. Love all of them. And Taro just jumped up and knocked a bunch of stuff off my desk. So I apologize. What you doing, baby? You be silly. We've also got a thunderstorm going on. And so he's probably just feeling a little anxious, wants to be by his mommy, and meow me, as I put it. But back to the movie. Like I said, when Final Destination, when this first one came out, it was meant to be a shock to our systems. It was meant to just be going, here, wake up, there is this, pay attention to it, maybe to take pause because of it. And there was a little bit of the whole thing of appreciating life kind of mixed into the whole thing. Now, you may be wondering, what? You're talking about Final Destination. How are they appreciating life? But that's really where these stories kind of go, is the whole thing is about them cheating death, and death does not like to be cheated. Plain and simple, death does not like to be cheated at all. Sorry, I feel like I'm going to sneeze here, so I apologize. Oh, forget the yawn. But you're probably curious. Like I said, I will get to the scores, so don't worry, I'm not jumping around on that. But I want to share with you the original review that was on MovieDeputy.com, the one I wrote quite a few years back. Our lives, are they predetermined, or do we actually have the free will that we think we have? That's what we're about to find out. A senior trip to Paris should be the adventure of a lifetime. Little do they know that something is about to happen that will impact them in ways that they could not have imagined. After a vision of something ominous, Alex is determined to get off the plane. Seeing his reaction, there are others that quickly join him. As he is hassled for his reaction, those who got off the plane with him would soon be thankful that they were spared. They're going to soon find out that their journey is far from over. Death's design seems inescapable, but they're determined to beat their fate. This is their journey to attempt to defeat death. Will they succeed, or is their fate set in stone? This is one of those guilty pleasure movies. It's got a narrow audience, but within that is a definite following that could inspire more movies to come. Now, as we know of now, there are a total of 6 movies in this franchise. But we could not have even imagined that when this came out in 2000. It's like, okay, maybe if we're lucky, we might get a sequel. But like I said, these are guilty pleasure movies. These are for the people who like that adrenaline rush, who like the jump scares, who like the blood and gore. And just there's just certain people that is their niche. Now, I wouldn't say that that's totally my niche, but I definitely get a little bit of an adrenaline rush. It's kind of cool, but it's also cheesy because there are a lot of people who appreciate realism and at least the special effects side of it cannot take these movies too seriously because they're the Final Destination movies. I mean, it's meant to look like death, obviously, but how they play it out it's cheesy. I mean, the blood never really looks like blood. The wounds are over exaggerated, and it's just plain goofy at times. So. You might be wondering where my score is at. Well, that's where I'm getting to. It's a score-wise, I actually might surprise you a little bit. I came in at a 5.5 out of 10 on the Deputy scale. Even with the goofs and stuff, it has mostly continuity errors, which people that really get caught up in the story are not going to notice those little continuity errors because you're so busy following the story and following what happens. But yeah, I mean, like I said, their whole thing was with this flight and this senior trip to Paris, and everybody's on boarding and everything. And then Alex realizes that he's had this vision of something going horribly wrong. And so when I'm talking about him reacting, everybody's following him and getting off the plane, or not everybody, but the group of kids that follow him and get off, they're just totally giving him crap for it because they're like, okay, you're totally ruining our trip to Paris, man. And then they're seeing the plane take off, and then kaboom. I mean, so they escaped fate, or did they? Because, like I said, if you're at all familiar with the Final Destination movies, like I said, death does not like to be cheated. And so how that plays out, if you are a fan of the movies, you know how that goes. If you haven't seen these yet, I hope that I can at least trigger a little bit of curiosity in some of you who have not seen these movies. So I can go back and rewatch these, like when I'm just looking for something mindless to just kind of turn on and occasionally chuckle at. And I always do say, if I laugh in a horror movie, it kills the score right then and there. Now, there are some chuckleable moments in these ones, but these are not necessarily designed to be horror movies. They're more thriller, suspense, and it's meant as a bit of levity when there are those more lighthearted moments. And some of the stuff that is just plain over the top, silly, goofy, and make you just wonder what in the you're watching. Because there are just things that are just like, oh my word, come on. And other things that are like, you're going, what's that? Why? Huh? And like I said, there is just a guilty pleasure about that. If you have a sensitive stomach at all, or if you are sensitive to blood and gore, I do not recommend these at all. But if those don't bother you as much, I mean, these are at least of a fun series to watch. And okay, it's not necessarily a series because it's not like a story being told like a sitcom on TV, but how the movies play off each other is interesting. So I hope that you will come back tomorrow and every day this week to find out more about the Final Destination movies. And I will be back tomorrow with Final Destination 2.